The Trade is brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.
G'day and welcome to The Trade on this Monday. Before we get to the charts, let's take a look at what traders are watching out there today. Now, the world braced for Iran's response after the US attacked key Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend, joining Israel in the largest Western military action against the Islamic Republic since its revolution in 1979. US President Donald Trump has raised the question of regime change in Iran following those strikes. Meanwhile, oil prices have jumped to their highest since January, as the US action has stoked supply concerns with the potential for retaliation from Iran. And China says the United States attack has damaged its credibility and is concerned the situation may get out of control. All right, let's turn to the technical now, what we are seeing. Gary Glover joining us from Novus Capital. Gary, welcome back. Good to see you. Can you hear us there, Gary? G'day, how are you going? Checking out your charts as we're about to get into it. So, look, obviously it is risk off in this current environment. Let's start stateside then. What are you seeing on the S&P 500?
Yeah, it's funny, it's kind of felt like it's been risk off for a couple of weeks here, Andrew, yet the market has held up remarkably well. So we really have only we've seen a couple of congestion weeks, a little bit of a pullback there, but not too much here. So considering a lot of the negative noise out there, the market sort of held on pretty well. So I'm still sort of positive. I still think we can run a little bit higher there, but we have had a really strong bounce out of that April low, and those sort of March and April lows in those sort of fifth years tend to be like a lot of major lows as well. So we do tend to sort of kick on from those lows there. But look, we could see a little bit more consolidation here over the next couple of weeks, but still think that the way the market's trading in front of some pretty bad news is a good sign here. But we could just see a little bit more congestion. But I still think we'll eventually go back and retest that high.
And Gary, does the same apply in the local market? What are you seeing on the ASX 200?
Yeah, I mean, the good news for the Aussie market, we've probably been a bit stronger. So we've actually bounced to a new high. So we've already taken out the high already there. So look, there's always a little bit of a fear of a false break when you go to a new high, and then you can come back here. So that's probably one of the shorter term fears there on the XJO. But there was a bit of selling last week, which is a bit of a negative as well. But again, I tend to think here, history has sort of shown here that when you do go to an all-time high, people are expecting to sort of fail a lot, and I think statistically, if you make an all-time high, I think you're a 45% chance of making an all-time high the next day. So we often highs are often followed more highs. But I do know you do tend to, in the past there we've seen a bit of a shakeout at those highs as we sort of tend to get a little bit of downward testing for a couple of weeks and then push on there. So I still view the market as pretty constructive here overall. I know we're having a bit of a pullback here, but I think it's constructive so far. I don't see it anything aggressive natured here. So, we might get a little bit more weakness there maybe the next week or two, but I think ultimately I think we can rally higher into August and maybe rally higher into the end of the year. But August is probably the short-term target there, I think a little bit higher here.
All right, sorry, yeah, we just lost that chart there. So, okay, those key levels then you're watching out for here?
Not so much the key levels there, because I do think you have seen in the past there where you flash to a new high, the market will try and break back, and you will get a bit of volatility after you've reached a new high. So, so I think so far, I mean, we've pulled back here about 7 or 8 days from the high there, and really haven't had that much of a move here. So again, I'm not sort of seeing any aggressive selling there. I mean, look, the index is showing a little bit of volume there last week, but still think it's pretty constructive overall. So not unusual to get a bit of volatility around the high, but I think if it holds here in the next couple of weeks, I think it can push on till up to August.
Gary, let's get stock specific then. And we're going to begin in the gold sector. Obviously, that is in focus, particularly at the moment, given the risks, geopolitical risks that are playing out. Although the gold price, those moves fairly muted. And in fact, you take a look at those, a lot of those producers and the share price action, it's been pretty flat over the past month or so.
Pretty flat to pretty negative, actually, the last week or two, Andrew. A lot of stocks there. So, Evolution breakdown last week here. Ramelius, Regis there. There's a few of those stocks there that have been sort of flying here. They've sort of started to show a bit of weakness there. The concern that I sort of see there is like seeing signs of distribution. So we're starting to see volume get elevated, and we're starting to see some sort of heavier sort of sell down days. So if you look at a couple of days there last week, there was some decent down moves and some decent selling there. So it does feel like everyone's kind of hit that euphoria button for gold here. I think there's a kind of level of complacency there. Everyone just expects buy the dip for gold. So just concern I see here in a lot of the particularly the Aussie gold producers there is that starting to see a bit of distribution there. And I'm not sure if that's obviously the gold price is hung pretty well here, but we are seeing some weakness in that US dollar, strength in the Aussie dollar. And that obviously, if the Aussie's going up, that's kind of a negative for, in terms of the gold conversion. So, but yeah, just what I'm saying here is I think there's a bit of distribution on a lot of those gold names there. So I just think a little bit cautious here on gold here, just with, feels like there's a level of complacency in gold. And we're seeing, you can see clear signs of volume is elevated there, probably 2 to 3 times the average volume here in the last few weeks there. So
yeah, this is Gold Road, of course. So you're saying that's a good example of that.
Look, you can look at all the gold stocks; they're all pretty similar. Definitely seeing probably volume around 2 or 3 times the average volumes, and that's after you're talking about an 18-month sort of bullish phase here. So you normally see the big volume, and you normally see volatility at one of 2 places, at the low or near the high. So that's a concerning aspect to me. So if I was long a basket full of gold stocks there, I'll be tightening them right up here. Actually, be really watching them tightly, just because we are starting to see some signs of distribution there.
All right, Gary, elsewhere, you're taking a look at News Corp. What are you watching here?
Yeah, look, just could be a beneficiary here. Obviously, the Middle East conflict. Obviously, more eyes on the news. But technically, there we've seen the stock actually hold up really well. So, considering the market's sort of shown a bit of weakness lately, it has really been trading up near its sort of highs here. So even the pullback here over the last 5 or 6 weeks, that's a corrective sort of sideways sort of pullback. Hasn't really weakened too much here. So this is sort of looks to me like one stock that technically looks pretty strong and could be a beneficiary there of more tensions there. And as you know, Andrew, when things are the worst, there people tend to sort of watch the box a bit more. Obviously, News Corp is in that sort of right in that domain there. So, but yeah, technically, it looks pretty strong.
And Gary, of course, the energy complex remaining very much in focus given what's at play. Let's take a look at a coal stock in Stanmore. Have you seen some sort of turnaround here or not?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Obviously, we've seen uranium, seen oil stocks. We've seen most of the coal stocks, trade really firm, really strongly there, Andrew. So they've been pretty bullish sort of sector, just energy across the board here. But I noticed sort of Stanmore has been kind of lagging a bit here. So I do prefer to follow the leaders, but when you look at that volume here, again, that volume's probably around about 3 to 4 times the average volume at the low here. So definite signs of some sort of accumulation taking place in the lower levels there. So just, I'll make an exception there if I see a big volume print there, sort of signs of accumulation there. So I think if this can break out of this little congestion there, definitely worth sort of following there, considering the sector is very buoyant and very, very bullish in general.
All right. And just finally, a look at A2 Milk, obviously very much focus on exports, in particular China. What are you seeing?
Yeah, look, it's held on pretty. Again, it's if you think about the market's been had that pullback into April, and we've had a little bit of weakness there recently. Gee, I mean, this stock here has been making higher lows the whole time here. The pullbacks have been very mild in nature, so it's showing, illustrating real sort of relative strength versus the market and versus most other stocks and sectors there. So just think it looks pretty firm here. So signs of sort of maybe breaking out here end of last week there, but obviously got a bit of weakness there. But be interesting to sort of see whether it can hang on here, hold on the next couple of days there. But this is one that looks pretty positive, pretty bullish there, showing great relative strength there. So these are often stocks when the market is a bit weak here, if they hang on there, they usually sort of come out the strongest there. So, A2 Milk is still looking pretty robust there. It almost looks like it's sort of trying to break out of this little consolidation there.
Gary, great to get across what you're seeing with the technicals. Thanks for joining us from Novus Capital.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, now just a reminder as well, join us for our next virtual investor event, the ABCs of derivatives. Did you know derivatives can be used in your SMSF strategy? Well, derivatives can also be used for downside protection, extracting yield, and for leverage. Join us for the event to discover how to achieve the upside after learning the ABCs of derivatives. And for you traders out there, we'll hear how sophisticated traders are using derivatives in digital assets. The virtual event will take place on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Registration is free, as always. If you are registered, you can watch live on demand, ausbiz.co/derivatives. More to come after this.
The trade was brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.